Hey everyone, it's Brett Hornby here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. As I got some NHL updates, I have to throw a question mark at the end of that. As you know, nothing has happened. Crisis, nothing happening. I took that from a skit that I remember on Royal Canadian Air Force back in 2003, before there were rising tensions in Iraq, and they were spoofing a CNN report, and they call it "Crisis, Nothing Happening." You can almost say that with the NHL. Nothing has happened. Is that a good thing, or is that a bad thing? I mean, it does in some way have a feeling towards. I mean, we've gone through 3 lockouts where we had 2 partial seasons and 1 canceled season. However, this is very, very unique circumstances with the ongoing global pandemic with COVID-19. However, the NHL still says they're targeting January 1st to start the 2020-21 season. Well, as of this recording, I'm looking at the calendar right now. We're in the last weekend of November. And, that's looking at November 28th. I mean, we're just 33 days away from New Year's. And there hasn't been anything yet about when the season is actually going to start. I am thinking that at this stage, the NHL is about to run out of time on starting the season January 1st. As you've been hearing, either both sides have been talking behind the scenes, and I know that Elliot Freeman, I know he had a tweet out that the fact that there hasn't been any juicy updates, that might be a good thing about there being talks on. And ultimately, it's coming down to, Players Association and the league trying to divvy up how they're going to, share the, revenues, which obviously is going to be a lot less this upcoming season, because you're not going to have fans coming to the game, at least right away. And with COVID numbers really going in the wrong direction, basically in both sides of the border. And speaking of border, it's still closed to non-essential travel, and the 21st is, play kick the can. Every month it's been kick the can down the road for another month. So that still remains to be seen on if the season will actually start January 1st. I mean, there has been some consensus that that was a date that they picked out, but they're probably thinking it might not be till January 15th or even February 1st. As already last month, the AHL has come out and said that they're not planning on starting their season, this upcoming season, until the 4th of February, if I believe that's the exact date. I know I made a video talking about that. But I also did see another, I think it's called the NHL Hockey Talk. I know some of the articles that you see that pops up on your Facebook feed, it kind of, some of it is just, rubbish. But it said also that I think the pipe dream of an 82-game season, starting it, let's say January 1st, and then concluding it in time, let's say, for the Summer Olympics, so that they can have everything done, so that the TV can focus their energy on the Summer Olympics, assuming that we are going to have a Summer Olympics, and it's murky right now, even with, vaccine announcements and about having fans in attendance. But getting back to that article, I saw a headline that likely, as my personal speculation, I've been saying a 48 to a 60 game season. Some are even saying that we might have a 42 game season. I mean, it's going to have to be an abbreviated season at this stage of the game. No pun intended, but having it so that you get some season in and having playoffs start. I mean, I think the deadline for looking at having this season, how many games that they plan to have, will have to end, let's say, the end of April. So you can have the 2 months of a full Stanley Cup playoffs. I mean, if you look back on the 1994-95 season, and then eventually the 2012-2013 season, the regular season in those seasons ended around late April, early May, before they went on with the Stanley Cup. And I still remember 1995 Stanley Cup playoffs. I think it was around June 24th or 25th. I mean, it was the latest that the Cup got awarded. And that was because that Stanley Cup final between the New Jersey Devils and the Detroit Red Wings was a sweep. But I think, that seems to be reasonable at the stage. And also keep in mind that the fact that obviously we're not going to have fans in attendance right away, that a shorter season would actually be better for the NHL this upcoming season. Not only so that the 2021-22 season, likely, it's still far away, and you keep hearing that generally by that time, more people will be vaccinated or the vaccine will be available to everyone so that you can be able to have larger gatherings, and hopefully restrictions are loosened enough so you can actually go to the game, that they want the following season to start, let's say, on time, especially with the Seattle Kraken coming in. And speaking of the Seattle Kraken, it's just worked out this way, but the league will get $650 million US from the expansion fee that the Seattle Kraken brought. So that's going to get distributed around the league-wide to all 31 teams. But I know that that's ultimately going to have to be the model for this upcoming season, because they did extend the CBA, part of the return to play plan. It seemed like both sides were, together, but now they're kind of, it almost feels lockout-ish, if lockout-ish is a word. But we're not in the lockout, it's just we're in the global pandemic, and this is something we've never faced in our lifetimes, and I'm not enjoying it, may I say that. Many people aren't, but, I still have to say there's going to have to be some kind of season, because, I've got the TV contract and all those reverse retro jerseys come out. I know locally here in Calgary, Jeff Ward said he's optimistic on there will be a season, and he's optimistic about January 1st, so I'm going to say, of course, he'll also say that, because I don't think any professional coach is going to say, we're not going to have a season, I'm just going to sit home and, chill, but, I have to think there still has to be a season, because, even a shorter season, getting back to that point, that the league will lose actually less money because of the model, or the bubble model, that likely is going to have to still be at the start of the season. And I know the NBA, they're looking at coming back on December 22nd, and they released their schedule, but that's more of a fuller season for the NBA. But they released it that they had only the first part of the schedule, which is likely the NHL is going to have to do that, because you keep hearing about, maybe the first part of the season they'll have bubbles, and there's still speculation that there'll be 4 bubbles for each division, and it does sound more and more likely that those temporarily remodified divisions will happen based on geographics. So yes, it sounds even more likely we'll have that Canadian division, and of course I made that video ranking as a Flames fan about my excitement and my anticipation with each Canadian team. And you also been hearing about possibilities with the temporarily realigned divisions. It'll be fun just for this upcoming season, that they're still figuring out playoff format on, is it going to be top 4 in each division, regardless, records, because if teams are going to be playing, within their division, let's say for example the Canadian division, you can't really compare it with other divisions, and even then, if there is some other division play, it's likely going to be condensed to one side of the conference, because in the lockout shortened season, the West only played the West and the East only played the East in those seasons, and then the only interconference play that happened was during the Stanley Cup final. But you also did hear about the top 16 might advance as well, so it would open up the potential for any untraditional playoff matchups. But that's all speculative, but that's getting to the season. But right now it's murky right now. You're hearing that the league and the Players Association haven't met, but then you also hear that they're making progress, and you're also hearing that players amongst themselves, they're on one hand they have no clue what's going on, but then you have players that are also coming from other parts of the world to slowly get back into their home cities, and if they weren't doing that, then that will likely not mean that there'd be a season. And then, there is some younger players that are either playing overseas that are, getting some games in. And, of course, they still got the World Junior Championships coming up next month, but then Team Canada, unfortunately, has hit a speed bump where there was some COVID cases that they've had to suspend camp for 2 weeks before they can come back and resume and prepare for that tournament. And as we know, it's still going to go on. That the tournament's still going to go on in the bubble model up in Edmonton, where the whole tournament's going to be. And I mean, keep in mind the bubbles, as much as it was successful for the Stanley Cup playoffs, that cost, I heard, $75–200 million US as well. But I think ultimately there is going to be agreement. But this is just me thinking of all the other points that I've heard and read and seen from other hockey YouTubers, that who the heck knows at this stage about, is hockey going to come back January 1st, or I'm thinking it's likely not going to be until the middle of January or maybe the end of January or early February. Hockey's going to come back, and I mean, I'm loving the idea just for this upcoming season, for the travel restrictions, that I would love an all-Canadian division. It would be great to see that. It would be beautiful spectacle hockey. I mean, it'd be nice if it's back, but right now I'm not thinking there's not going to not be a season. I mean, that would definitely be economic suicide for the league. Not only just the interest that they generate with the reverse retro jerseys, but the U.S. TV deal. They need to play on hockey. To me, it's a business, and at this stage, it's just salvaging the season, given the economic environment, but and the what's been going on with COVID-19. But hopefully, get this done, come up with something. I think they will, because it's both players and the league. They're going to need some money. I mean, you heard the deferral of the salaries being asked, and I know that's also why players, it was thinking that there could have been potentially a lockout, which would have been after this season. That's why they asked for bonuses on Canada Day, so they get their guaranteed money that way. But I mean, it will definitely be economic suicide. But that's just all the points that I've been hearing and thinking, and giving my personal speculation on NHL updates. Is it a crisis that there is nothing happening, or the fact that we haven't heard anything big or juicy might be actually a good thing? That's what Elliot Freeman speculated. But what do you think? I mean, I keep thinking we're not going to have a full 82-game season. It's a pipe dream at this stage. There's no way you're going to play 2 games in a day in a bubble model, or you're going to compress the schedule. I mean, it's still going to be compressed. You got to think of the players' well-being, and also the fact that you want to be able to keep everyone as fresh as possible and still have 2 months of Stanley Cup playoffs. I'm thinking that whenever they start the season, they'll have to think about having it end the end of April at latest, so that they can still have 2 months of the Stanley Cup playoffs. On average, it takes 2 months. I think the latest that you can have the Stanley get awarded is July 15th, which would be a week before the Olympics, if we have the Olympics in Tokyo, so that the NHL doesn't have to worry about being overshadowed by the Summer Olympics. And then maybe the beginning of August, or maybe just after probably be around the beginning of August. That's when you can have your off-season business with the free frenzy, the drafts, because now you got the entry draft and the expansion draft too. So, but that's everything what it is. So anyway, as I always say, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans' journey, home of the Flames, Hitmen, Roughnecks, and Stampeders, I mostly do talk Calgary sports on my YouTube channel, and most of my videos have been just speculating and talking about what could be or what I've been hearing, and that's been also nice to make videos on that, just to share and look back on where things evolved from either the season started later and trying to shift it back to normal in 3 years, or playing hockey like in I think it was North Dakota or Saskatoon or New Hampshire. I mean, there's been many possibilities I've heard about over the months. I also do have personal vlogs, attempt comedy, and I also do share my experience when I'm on the road or a sporting event, assuming we ever get to do that again. I have it on my channel right now, but obviously what's been going on, there hasn't been anything new for me to add in those playlists. But if that all sounds like it'd be interesting to watch, to follow along with this Calgary sports fans' journey, you know what you need to do. Just make sure you hit like, subscribe. I also have my other social media links down in the description below for other ways you can follow me, and you get any tidbits on what I plan to do in the future on my channel. And also, one big announcement I can make is that I actually recently bought a new laptop, so hopefully I'll be able to eventually learn some better programming. it was time to retire my old HP laptop Pavilion that I bought back in 2009. I mean, I'm slowly going to have to buy some other equipment. I mean, eventually I want to buy a light so I can use for when lighting isn't optimized for videos, but at least finally got a new laptop, so hopefully I could be able to get more videos done quicker that way. Already, I mean, we're talking about 4 gigs of a 11-year-old laptop to a 16 gig model because I got an MSI GF65. So this will be the first video that I'm going to be rendering with that laptop, as well as all my other videos I plan to make. So hopefully that will work out that way as well. So as I say, go Flames go, and I'll see you in the next video.